hunters, they try to survive in a forest. They have to memorize, they have to understand from every single point of the jungle, because the more they understand, the more options and chances will be for their survival. So it is exactly the same case for you. Hello everyone, welcome to a new video of Act the Book. I am Bakir and I read books and share them with you through videos like this to make your life better. In this video, we are going to talk about how we can survive successfully in any new environment. But before that, have you ever experienced struggling in surviving or maybe integrating in any new environment in your life? It could be work environment, it could be non-work or non-professional environment. If you have, then this video is going to help you to survive that environment easily, or maybe if it's too late for your current environment, it can help you for the next phase of your life. From the beginning until the end of this video, we are going to talk about the usual mistake that we do at the beginning of entering any new world or any new environment. And then we're going to talk about what is the correct way of doing it. And then we're going to talk about two important steps to consider while entering any new environment. And at the end, we are going to finish the video with the benefits of acting on those two essential steps while entering any new environment. You might have experienced when you enter any new environment, for the sake of simplicity, let's consider work environment. Many people, or maybe it could be you yourself, experience or try to get attention of people within the first few days, within the first few weeks. Or you try to impress people or leave an impression of being a good person towards the people. And according to the book called Mastery by Greene, it is the wrong way of doing it, because it leaves an impression, or maybe you can attract the attention of the people for very short term, but in the long run it's going to harm you, because those attention or that impression that you've got, it is not based on the skill or achievement that you have done based on your activities, but it's merely because of wrong or maybe empty actions. The correct way of entering any new environment is very simple. And the most important thing that you have to do is stay in the background, which is exactly opposite of seeking attention. And the second thing that you have to do is give yourself time and space to observe the environment. If you do these two things, this is going to help you a lot in terms of surviving or maybe integrating successfully in any new environment and making many more friends, which can help you with a lot of things for the future. As we mentioned earlier, that the correct way is to stay in the background and observe. But observe what? Here I'm going to talk about, you have to observe two things, but the first and important thing is to observe rules and procedures in that new environment. When you enter a new work environment, the first thing that many offices or the bosses or the managers that they do is to give you an induction, to give you training on the rules and regulations, to teach you how we do things here. And that is very important. And in those trainings, they teach you some of the very clear and obvious rules. And observing those obvious rules tells you to not do things against those, or maybe to abide to those rules. But more interestingly, there are certain rules that are unstated in those trainings. And those rules are around cultures, values, and other things that are not very obvious. Many times people just neglect those rules and regulations as well. But that rule and regulation which is unstated is equally important as the stated rules. And it is very important for any newcomer in any new environment to observe those rules, stated and unstated rules, and do not go against those rules. And while observing those rules, kind of like paying attention on those rules, another thing that you have to do is to see what other people are doing. And also, especially pay attention on the people who have done or gone against those rules. And those examples can work tripwires for you, because it will teach you if you do it that way, you're going to end up harming your career or harming your status in that environment. The second thing that you have to observe is the power relationship in that environment. Observe who has the power, who has the decision-making power and control on everything. Second, how the communication flows from top to bottom. And third, who is at the top and who is at the bottom of every single thing. And fourth, never ever try to change those power, those culture, those rules and regulations. Because when you're observing, when you're in the status of observing or process of observing the rules and regulations and the power relationship within any new environment, most often you will come across the rules and regulations or things that you don't like. You see that they are counterproductive, they are not working in the right way. You might be feeling to change those rules, maybe to step against those rules and regulations. That is wrong. Never ever try to do that, because if you do so, you are very new in that environment. You might end up getting fired from that place because everyone sees you from a very different perspective. So in the second phase of observing, or maybe in the second step of observing, what you have to do is observe who are the people that make the decision, because most often these rules and regulations that you are observing in the first step, they are the reflection of the people who are at the top, and these are the people who make the rules and regulations. So this kind of like these two steps are interlinked with each other. And second, try to understand the communication flow, the chain of command, how the communication flows from top to bottom and also from bottom to top. And also understanding and knowing people who are at the top, who are at the bottom, or who are at different hierarchy position, that is going to help you for your future activities and for your future job in the same environment. And as I mentioned before, once you are observing, be careful of one thing: to never ever complain about these rules and regulations. These two steps are going to help you to gain a clarity on the reality, because most often when we enter any new environment, what we see is, within the very first few impressions, we see that people are really good with us. We see that people are trying to make decisions, and we try to set those impressions as permanent for the whole career. But that is wrong, because when you try to observe the rules and regulation and also the power relationship within the environment, within the passage of time, you see that the people who were trying to talk a lot, they are really kind of like, they just bark. They don't have any action, or they don't have the desire of action. So with the passage of time, you will get a better understanding of the reality, who is what, and you will understand all the feelings behind the obvious appearances. And this understanding is also going to help you in navigation within that environment. As I mentioned before, once you understand who are the people making the decisions at the top level and who you can reach out for certain things, understanding all of these things, it will be helpful for you to navigate within the environment, navigate within the office, and navigate within the company. And the Robert Greene gives a very good analogy of hunter, because when hunters, they try to survive in a forest, they have to memorize, they have to understand from every single point of the jungle, because the more they understand, the more options and chances will be for their survival. So it is exactly the same case for you. If you are trying to survive in any new environment, make sure that you understand all the rules and regulations, you understand who has what kind of power, and how the communication flows and every other things, very small things, and maybe some of unobvious things. Understanding all of these things are going to help you for the next months, or maybe for the long term, to survive in that environment. And the last benefit that it has on you is it builds a very long-term human skill in you that teaches you to observe first before analyzing any environment. For example, after this job, or maybe in your normal life out of the work environment or work life, when you're interacting with something, or maybe you're seeing something, it will teach you and train your mind and brain to observe that situation first before analyzing, and that will help you in your social life as well. A very quick review of the whole video is: first, never ever try to get quick attention in any new environment with your first few days. Second, first of all, try to stay in the background and also try to observe things and rules and regulations. And the two of the things that you can observe is, the first is observe the rules and regulations and the procedures in an environment, in the work environment. Second, observe the power relationship within the office. And if you follow these steps, I'm sure you're going to survive any new environment very successfully, and you're going to make a lot of new friends. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you next week. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye-bye.